Now I will show you how to securely pick up the white queen or checkmate in the Sicilian defense. And so we play black. Your opponent makes the first move in the opening with the king's pawn on e4. We play the Sicilian defense, we put the pawn on c5. What your opponent usually does next is he brings out the knight and you put your queen on c7. Beyond that, your opponent almost always brings out the bishop. First, your opponent wants to castle. Secondly, the idea of attacking our f7 pawn. That is the further transfer of the knight to g5 and the bishop is acceptable. But that's another story. What are you doing right after this move of the bishop? You put the king's pawn on e6. There can be no attack anymore, your opponent immediately castling here. What are you doing? You are driving a horse. Your knight attacks the e4 pawn. Your opponent usually defends her with what? He usually puts the queen on e2. That is, the queen defended both the pawn and the bishop. Plus a pretty good move. What do you do next? You just bring out the knight and your opponent of course also develops the pieces, therefore also brings out the knight. What you do next? You just put your knight on g4. That is, you created a mating threat on h2. Your queen attacks the h2 pawn and the knight. But white's knight defends the h2 pawn. So there can be no mother. Your opponent will of course want to drive away this dangerous knight so that he does not stand here, so always make a simple move to put a pawn on h3. That is an attack on the knight and we must lose pace and withdraw the knight. But of course we will not take the horse away. And we make a move with the second knight and put it on d4 and our knight attacks the queen. And right now at this moment your opponent has already completely lost the game, no matter how strange it sounds. What is happening? If your opponent, let's say, takes our knight with his knight so that there is no attack on the queen, then you will simply transfer the queen to h2 checkmate, since the knight will no longer defend this point. That is, if your opponent, let's say, takes a pawn, let's say our knight, then you simply take the queen with the knight and also win the game. So this is where most of the time happens. Your opponent understands that the knight must not be touched, that is, of course no one wants to lose the queen in the opening. Therefore, no one sees a threat here and they simply think they need to take the queen away. The queen can be taken either to e1 or to d1 or to d3. Let's say the queen is taken to d3. Basically it doesn't matter. What you do next seems like a threat, no longer has the queen allotted. That is, you simply take the knight on f3 with your knight and declare a check to the white king. What options does white have? If your opponent takes your knight either with a pawn, it doesn't matter, or with a queen, it doesn't matter at all, then you simply transfer the queen to h2 checkmate. If your opponent does not take your knight, but let's say he just moves away with his king, the same thing is just checkmate. That is such an interesting trap, an interesting combination at the very beginning of the game. That is, in principle very few moves have been made. But you already repeat either taking the guaranteed white queen or checkmate the white king. Such a great combination, I advise you to learn how to use it in your games. All, if you like, put like, subscribe to the channel Play Chess, and remember, every chess master was once a beginner. Once a beginner. Once a beginner.